Okay, so let's discuss on how to actually win games in Overwatch. No, not win games in Overwatch, how to actually learn in Overwatch. How to improve yourself as a player in Overwatch, how to get better, how to figure anything out in this game. And of course, this video is, the examples will be centered around Overwatch. But in general, this topic is like an universal topic. You can apply this same thing to basically every other first-person shooter, to every other game, to every other topic that you want to excel at, basically. But there is this one distinction. So every topic that is not about building muscles, increasing your physical accuracy, these things, it kind of also applies, but only partially. So for like mechanical training, there are different things that also are added to it, but I will explain this stuff a little bit later. So the first step, let's just break down all the steps that we have in general. So basically, what are we doing? The first thing is number one is called knowledge. I just want to check if you can actually. No, I cannot write text. Knowledge. Know your stuff. No. Yeah, like this. Okay. Okay, I cannot move it even. Okay, I can move it like this. Yep, knowledge. So, what is with knowledge? The first thing is that you need to understand. You need some, basic knowledge about the game. You need to understand what you want to improve on. Like you first need to create an understanding of how things should be for you to be able to live up to this expectation, I would say. So how do you acquire knowledge? Then the next question. And there are two main sources. There can be more, but the one thing is basically you acquire knowledge yourself. This is mostly guessing. And the second thing is you watch a guide, a tutorial of sorts. So with which do we start? We start with watching a guide, and now specifically I want to talk about what happens if you get knowledge from watching YouTube videos. How do you actually watch a YouTube video and actually learn something from a YouTube video? Like you're watching this video right now, how do you actually get better from it? There are of course other types of outside input, like a coach, another player of the same rank, another player of a higher rank, another player of a lower rank. In some, maybe you posted in Overwatch University and you got some replies. So there are all different sources of outside knowledge that you try to adapt from, and these rules partially apply to all of them. It's of course that if you have an actual real paid coach, someone that actually got to Grandmaster or top 500 and held this rank for a while and actually has some education about how to coach people, then it's of course a little bit different because you can just blindly trust this person, basically. But for everything else, for every other source, like my source, like I'm not Grandmaster, like you should not trust it blindly. But you can still use it. Even if you get knowledge from a lower ranked person, you can still use this knowledge to improve on the game, and this will be more clear if we discuss the further steps. So, now for example, you watch a YouTube video about a specific topic, and you want to improve this from this YouTube video. And there is a very specific strategy on how to apply the things that are going through this video, how to apply them to knowledge. And there are basically a few steps. The first thing is watch the video. And the first step is really just watch it blindly. Watch it at 1.5 speed, watch it very fast, just watch the entire thing basically. So you have like a roadmap of the video in your head when you're watching it. Okay? And this is basically just now filtering, and then you pick out parts of this video. You can also take notes while skipping through it. You pick out parts of the videos that are actually more interesting to you. Like if there's a video like the top 10 things you do wrong in Overwatch or something like that, like a 10-step list, then maybe you need only 3 points, you don't need all 10. And actually, it's best for you to pick out only one topic. Out of this list of 10, you pick out only one topic. Okay, but you can also pick more topics for later work on, but you actually work on only one topic at the same time. So pick up one topic from this video. Then the second thing you do is you really sit down and to think, okay, you now heard something new you didn't know before, and now you think, so let's write this actually down. So we have watch something. So get the knowledge. Watch. A. Then B is then this sorting sort out one topic. Okay? Sorting this one topic. 3, think about how does this specific topic apply to your gameplay. Really think, when do you apply it? When do you not apply it? In which situations? Like, really imagine the thing you're trying to learn be implemented into your gameplay. Like, for example, it's ult tracking. Like, imagine you're now playing a game of Overwatch, and now you're really imagining, okay, now I know there's a thing called ult tracking. How do I apply it? And you think, okay, I can run around here, and it's a second fight, no one ulted, so I know the next fight they will ult, and now I can react to it. Now I know, okay, they have Sigma ult, so I will play more spread for my team or something, or I keep my sleep dart for the Sigma, or whatever your plan is. It doesn't matter really what your plan is. And the third step is really to know how to apply. How to. I write how to, because my screen is over, the 2 is already gone, so how to apply. Man, I really need to find a smaller pen. This is too big to write it with. Do I have settings here somewhere? I don't even know. Where are the settings? I think at some point I set it to the fattest one. I think here it is. Okay, I think I figured out how to make a smaller... So now I can draw smaller lines. So with this I can draw better. Sorry for that. So how do we apply the knowledge from the video? And this is something most people are kinda doing two-brained. Like, they watch the entire video. Now they have more, general knowledge, but they have invested zero thoughts on how to apply it. Okay? And it's kind of important that you're very specific with the type of video you watch. Like, for example, you watch a Kiriko guide, and the guy just somewhere in the middle of the video, he just says, okay, aim with your kunai at head level. Like, one sentence, that's all. That's all you hear. And now you think, oh, am I doing that? Am I aiming at head level? No, because hitting headshots is hard. So should I now flick to head level? And then maybe if you think about it, you will understand, oh no, this is more about crosshair placement, and if you don't have anything specific to aim at, you put crosshair on head level, then you hit headshots automatically because they do triple damage. And then you have something that you can specifically implement into your gameplay. And so now you increase your knowledge about a specific topic in a very specific way. Okay? Now, if you get this knowledge not from a prepared video or like a high quality video, but maybe from a low quality video like mine videos are, or maybe from a coach or someone just telling you, or you read it on Reddit, you don't have any sources, you just have this one sentence like, do this, but you do not know how. Then you actually should go and watch another high level player applying it. So for example, if you watch a video about how to place Sojourn's E ability, and then you maybe just go and watch some Dafran or Kabaji or whoever is currently playing Sojourn. I have no idea, honestly. Who was rank 1 Sojourn? I forgot. Craigie was rank 1 Sojourn when I last watched. So just look, how does he apply his E ability, and does he also apply it how it was mentioned in the video? And just try to watch this player play and keep notice of how does this player implement the topic you watched in, so you just have a clear mental image of how it looks like, basically. Okay? And so again, we are back to the topic of create knowledge. Right on Genji's face. So it's really like great knowledge, but it's create knowledge. I should get the tablet to write with my left hand. I just create knowledge, okay? Oh, for you it's not on Genji's face, for you it's on my face. Now I can actually move the source, so for you it's roughly where it is for me. It's roughly above Genji's hand, like this, okay. So we had this, the first step was video or guide. And the second thing is replay. Now with replays, it's a little bit different, because without having a clear source that actually tells you what's good, what's bad, you're left with your own brain. And let me tell you, your brain doesn't have as much experience as other people in Overwatch, otherwise you wouldn't watch this video, otherwise you would just go and play. So if you watch your own replay. So let's open my last defeat. Actually, I think let's open this video from yesterday. The defeat from yesterday, I think, because I was tanking there, right? I was tanking with random tanks. Tap. So then you just skip to a random team fight. Also, if you have a team fight, you know that you wanted to play better, but you didn't know how. You can skip to this team fight. So, and what do you look at in your own replays? Like, the first thing is, again, just watch this thing. Like, find one team fight. Like, here's a team fight. Just watch it. Again, you can speed it up. You can slow it down, of course, as well. Okay, you have watched a random sequence of me playing tank now. Again, this was really random. I was just trying out stuff, and that's how it looks like. Now you can make a mental map again of the sequence and keep looking out for the following things. Which action had a different outcome than you would have expected? So, for example, if I went here, I would have expected, oh, I thought if I go here, I can hit my knife, pull the target to me, exit once, and then maybe kill it in close range, because here in this car is like a small confinement. This is what I would have expected. But what happened is I throw the knife into the door. It was really close, man. This was, like, really? Like, come on! This one stupid edge of the, like the bald signal to the side is hitting the door. Come on, it's so close. Yeah, well, but I expected something, but I had a different outcome, so what was wrong? And of course, here's clear, it was a mechanical error. I kind of just tracked and disregarded the door, basically. Another thing you can watch out, basically, just what went wrong. Like, so it's not what went wrong, but first is, when did something went wrong? So you just watch it. So let's watch. There was a dead Junkrat, right? Let's see, when did Junkrat die? Here, roughly. So let's see, how did this Junkrat die? Yeah. So how did this Junkrat die? Well, he got snapped here by a Widow. Okay. So this is something maybe. Okay, maybe I can improve this thing here. Junkrat died. Or the another thing is, like, things happen, but you have no idea what you should have done, how you should have done. Also, just take note, mental note of situations where you did not like the outcome, basically, where you would have liked something different. Here I would have liked for Junkrat to be alive, or I would have liked to pull this healer to me when I was here at this door. Just anything. Find any situation. It really doesn't matter which one. And now comes the interesting part. Because you don't have a guide that tells you what you should have done, you need now to be creative and just think of something you could have done. And now you just guess into the blue what you could have done different. Right? You just guess. Okay, Junkrat died here. I could have fought on this edge instead of this edge after I saw a Widow. I could have fought back here, for example. Okay? Another example, okay, Widow is long-range character, and I was fighting in a long-range spot here with my Junkrat, so instead I could have tried to hold this edge, and then maybe Junkrat could have went inside here, and I could have built my pressure from up front. Another option. Right? Just something else you could have done. You just formulate a random theory. You have no idea if it's right or not. You can also say, okay, I should have gone here and thrown my knife onto Widow. Doesn't matter. You just formulate a random theory of what you could have done. And the emphasis is on random. Random theory. And clearly, this random theory is not correct. It does need to be. And now we are making the loop back on why taking advice from bronze player or from bad videos, why implementing this advice can still be helpful for your gameplay. Exactly at this point. Because we will now discuss the entire loop, how to train up with this knowledge. So now you have created a knowledge, and a piece of knowledge that you want to implement in your game. And this will be the next step after knowledge, will be this implementation. And the implementation can be on wrong knowledge. And that's important. The knowledge does not need to be correct. Because what you do now is, like, imagine you are now this Junker Queen, and you think about how to implement this knowledge. Sorry, where's my Overwatch? Here. And you decide, okay, then you play further back. So the definition is, if they have a Widow, you play a corner further back where they need to come around the corner before they see something. Basically. This is your theory, this is your knowledge, right? And now then we would discuss how to implement this knowledge, but imagine now you have implemented this knowledge, you have trained this thing, how to do this in your games, and now you always play here, but then you see, okay, but then your Junkrat goes up here and still dies, or something. Or he still goes up here and dies, right? And then you have two things. One thing is, you know that your knowledge was wrong. So first thing is, you know, okay, playing back here against a Widow would be bad. It's just an example. Maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong. I'm not talking about if this specific tactic is good or bad. This is not my point. My point is, if this is your random thought and you randomly play and your next 10 games, over the course of the next 10 games, you randomly see, okay, it kind of doesn't work out. Every time I had a Widow or Hunter or Ashe sniping, I was playing back and we still died. Then you know your knowledge was wrong. Then you first have trained to notice what are the enemies leaving the spawn with. You learned to recognize what type of character is your team playing, what range does your team need, and you learned to adapt on different maps to different ranges. So despite your knowledge being wrong, you implemented pieces of abilities and skills that you can apply to a different set of knowledge. Noticing enemies, teammates, positions, maps, noticing all these things. You got better in these topics, okay? And now, you know this knowledge is wrong, so you know, okay, then maybe I position close range. So next time you start here, you see a Widow, then you, whoop, go to this edge and start fighting here, this edge. So every time this Widow peaks, she's already kind of close to your shooting range and gets punished as well, maybe. Okay? Of course, then you will notice, okay, but if there's a Ryan, then I'm stuck here and I cannot fall back without dying. But that's the next topic. Then you will notice, okay, so the Widow problem is solved, but you opened up different problems. Yeah. So again, the gameplay itself is not so important. You see it on this side, you see a little bit of gameplay, and that is all you need to see. So you don't see, of course, my gameplay. So you see this edge is what I mean. Like, yeah, okay, maybe if I move my camera like this, maybe you don't see enough. That's actually true. That's actually true. Let's make it small. My face doesn't need to be so big. But the text is now more important than the gameplay itself. Because I said, the gameplay is just random. Like, we just did random decisions. There's nothing important to be seen here. It's just random decisions and how they apply. And now if maybe a bronze player comes to you and say, yeah, well, you should have played on high ground. Okay? And, well, playing here Jungler or Genji on high ground against the Widow is, of course, kind of stupid. And it kind of works maybe on bronze level because the Widow can't hit things on bronze level, then you can just dance around here on high ground forever. But on higher levels, it will not work. And this is another thing that might happen. Something works on low levels, but on high levels. But still, you kind of then trained to go on high ground, and then you also get trained that you got punished on high ground, then you know, okay, you know where the high grounds are, and then you know against which characters not to take high ground, but you also learn against which characters high ground actually worked. Because then you learned, okay, every time I went to high ground, like this bronze guy told me to, and against, I don't know, Korean Soldier and Echo, it kind of worked out. Or if I had a Mercy, it worked out, or if I had a tank being high ground, it worked out. But if the enemies had kind of like long-range snipers, and I didn't have any support, then it kind of didn't work out. So then again, you still kind of learned something that you can apply later on, even though the knowledge itself was wrong, okay? So that was the first part, knowledge. So I write it down again, now I have more space to write. Knowledge was the first part. Yep. Knowledge. Now comes the second part. Implementation. Or application. I don't know how we want to call it, like, I call it implementation. Or execute. Let's call it execute. Exec. Knowledge.exe. Execute. Okay, execute your knowledge. Now, you need to go from random knowledge to actual execution skills. Like, just knowing something doesn't mean you can do it. So, for example, let's look this one. Okay? I press again the wrong buttons. Get into the field. Okay, so the Baptiste maybe knows that you kind of should alternate left click and right click, so because your heal doesn't interfere with your damage, and damage doesn't interfere with your heal. So the Baptiste maybe knows that you should alternate fire. But in this situation, it was just too difficult to execute, right? Because, well, first, there's just a big ball in his face. There's no target that needs any healing at all, like Genji is healed by Mercy. So there's nothing to heal. And then bam, suddenly critical, everything's critical. Out of nowhere, Junkrat dead, and everything's critical, everything explodes. You know, the Baptiste panics and overheals a little bit. It doesn't have the time to weave in shots between, he's afraid that his teammates are dying, right? So just knowing that this Baptiste should alternate between fire modes and implementing it, there's a gap, okay? And you actually need to apply your knowledge. It is not enough to just know stuff, you need to go and do it. Just do it! If you know the video. Of course it looks like random, it doesn't matter. Okay. And we discussed now how to get from pure theoretical knowledge to practical application of this knowledge. So and there are a few things that you kind of need for this to be successful. First thing is, have a clear vision of how it should look like. Like if you have this Baptiste and you play through this scenario, now this Baptiste should be able to pause this game at this moment, close his eyes, and now just imagine how should his gameplay look like. Like right click on the Genji, left click on Mei, right click is healing for me, so heal on the tank, left click on the Mei again, throw immunity field, then go up on high ground, heal this, like just have a mental image of the characters running on your screen, how it should look like. It's kind of easy if you just have a video reference, so really just find the pro player applying it if you want to, but you can also just imagine yourself doing it. Or we had the example earlier for the Jungle Queen to play this back corner when they have a Widow. Just imagine how it should look like if you play against the Widow. Like you go here, but do it with your eyes closed. Really, don't do it in-game, do it really with your eyes closed, your mental image. You should go here, see a scout, what they have, then fall back while walking backward, while shooting forwards, and then peek this corner, and keep an eye on if someone is here peeking, and just have a mental image how it should look like. Okay? Then the second thing is, so you need to be able to really define it very well what you want to train, because what are the requirements for you to be successfully able to implement from knowledge to application? And this is the first step, have a clear mental image. Second thing would be define things in the context. Like again, let's watch this guy. And this guy now thinks, I need good positioning. Okay? I want to train my positioning. But what is positioning? Like, does this explain anything? Like, you go to a random the guy in the streets and say, I need good positioning on my Genji. Does this guy will know what you're talking about? No, of course not. Positioning needs a context. Like, good positioning means, okay, you have one target you can farm your ultimate at, like for example this Kiriko, without seeing too many enemies, while still being in line of sight to your supports maybe, while being maybe close enough to your tank, while having the correct timing with your team. For example, being here might be a good position against this Widow, but the entire enemy team can just turn around and crush you, right? So the positioning in the void might be correct, but in the context of the entire game, the entire team rolls from the spawn, just rolls over you and you are just dead. Why? Because your team was not fighting, but you were already fighting. So this position needs a context in the game. And you kind of cannot just say, I need to hit good anti-nades. You need to clearly define what is a good anti-nade, in which context is an anti-nade good. Like an anti-nade here would maybe hit this Sharpie, because it increases healing on these two targets. It might also be, you can also just wait for your tank to go around the corner with your X, and then hit nades then. Both could be good anti-nades. Just random examples. So you need context. Then, the next step is you need to define actionable plans how to train it. So, if you define, I need better aim. You what reviewed your knowledge, I need better aim, I need to hit more shots. Yeah, well, but now what? You need to be able to define your training plan. You need to be able to actually formulate some sentence that actually helps you training it. Like, okay, better aiming would be, okay, I go here and I really focus on this Kiriko. I move in a very easy pattern, like only right, and I just focus on this one shot and click on her. And I focus on this one aiming task on this Kiriko. It's kind of doing the same thing as just saying, oh, I need better aim, and it doesn't bam, 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 click, click, click. It's kind of the same thing. but really define very well how your training plan looks like. Like I said, for as example for the tank, is maybe okay. You go front, you scout for the enemies until you see all 5 players, and then you decide at which distance you want to play. And then you repeat and repeat and repeat this training, because you have defined how your training looks like. Okay, and that's basically the next step. After you have defined the training how to look like, you actually play the games. You actually play in ranked. Don't play quick play, don't play deathmatch, don't play any other mode. Really train in game. Ranked is the correct mode to train ranked, because that's the context where you're training it. I will explain another video while training in ranked better than training quick play. So for now, I just have to tell you, trust me or don't. I'm just a YouTuber, not the police. But from my experience, training in ranked is best if you want to succeed in ranked. So play ranked, but really don't care about winning the game. Don't care about if you hit your shots or anything other random topic. Don't care if your supports are good or bad, or if your Genji uses his ult correctly. Focus on actually your task. So as this Jungle Queen, as I said, focus on figuring out where to position. And repeat that every single time. Just focus on that one and just let the rest play out. Don't say, oh, I need to focus where to position, and then you focus on hitting the knife, and then you try to ult track, and then you try to think about other things. Like, really focus on your training mostly. Just focus on training, and the rest is just autopilot. Like, everything that's not part of your training should be just autopiloted. If you are Baptiste and you want to train alternate fire, you just alternate fire. You don't care if you hit or not. You just right click, left click, right click, left click, right click, left click, right click, left click. You don't care if you are up or down, or in cafe or whatever. You don't care. You just right click, left click, left click, like a madman. You just do your training. If you are Genji and you're training your timing with your team, well, go on high ground, be AFK and look. Here's my team. Here's my team. Here's the enemy team. Now is the timing, and then you go in and autopilot. Then you either die or survive, you don't care. Next time you go here and say, here's my team, now you execute. Like, apply your training and autopilot the rest. And then, of course, after all the things comes the last part, and this is just review your next games and rethink how did you apply your training. Like, in the beginning you had a clear vision, and in the end you had your training execution. And now you just rewatch your training execution. How did you do? Okay, so let's do that actually in my games, if I manage to. Okay, so because I was training Soldier, and I was mostly training to not... Let's watch this one. I was training to not take too high risks, but play back until I need to carry. Okay, so we go to the next fight, and now, so I had my training, and now I see how did I implement my training. How did I apply my training? I had some knowledge that I was overextending too often and did not get too much value. And then I defined my training plan, like be with your team. Try to realize when you need to go more aggressive, and only do that then. Like, when do we need to take more risks? So a little bit awkward, but because we want to go for our tank. So here we are going back. So the question is, did I need to apply here more pressure? And the answer is yes, because my tracer was low, so I kinda needed to be a little bit more aggressive here, which I wasn't, so he was too low on risk. I went for a body shot, but for a kind of a random flick shot, so there was too high risk on the railgun. Just a random hit would be better than going here for a headshot. So target was too difficult, and then I overextended and died. Did I die because I overextended? No, I kinda was safe, honestly. Like, there was no reason for me to die here. And you just evaluate your own training, literally. You just see, how did you apply your training? It doesn't matter if you have applied it good or bad or whatever, or if you were tilted and failed to apply, you just rewatch your own training. You also don't need to watch all fights, just really review as much as you can. And the most important thing is really just reviewing it. You can also analyze it a little bit, but just view how did you apply your own training plan. And I have to say, I applied it kind of poorly. here was too much risk. I did not think about the risk, but again, I remember that I was talking to my chat in this match, so it's kind of, I know why, but it doesn't matter. I remember my own excuses why I didn't implement my training here well, but it's fine. Like, just remember, okay, because that also gives you a hint, okay, maybe sometimes you need to focus more on your training and less on your chat. Maybe. It's fine. But we only watched this one fight, okay? And then here was overextended and did not mind my no risk, okay? And so now we have reviewed my own implementation. So we are back to writing the same thing again. First knowledge, and now writing always the same looks strange, but it really helps myself remember these things. So second thing was execution. So for knowledge, yeah, we will recap later. And now the third one is basically a repetition. And so now you have gotten better, or at least different knowledge about the one topic you are training at. So maybe a week have passed, you have always watched, you have trained, you have watched your training. A week have passed, or maybe 3 days have passed, or maybe 40 days have passed. I have no idea how much you're playing, right? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much you're playing. Maybe you train every day, different topics, your decision. I personally would train one topic for 2 weeks, roughly. And review, like make one big milestone review like every 3 or 4 days, roughly. Or like 20 games. So if you want some sizes. Okay. So in the same, basically the repeat. But the repeat is different than your beginning. Because now you have more knowledge than you had in the beginning. Right? So now you can actually create a better formulation of how it should look like. So now you can look at the more finer details. Now you can look at like more examples where you actually implemented it. So now you are just more knowledgeable than in the beginning, but you can still increase the knowledge on the same topic. So you have not reached the end goal on this topic, but you have made some intermediate steps, right? So you can redefine things. You can now rewatch another pro doing the same thing and now watch at the more details. How did he actually use his E ability? When did he actually dash in? How did he actually ult? Like, look at the finer details, and you will understand more of how and when and why someone did what on the same topic. And the same applies if you watch your own games. Now you can see better. Like after 7 days, you see mistakes you have done that you were not aware of 7 days ago, but you're aware of them now, because now you have more experience in this specific topic. So rewatch it, redefine it, re-actualize the image in your head, redefine your training plan, and then again, go to the games and execute it. Train your topic and train it better than it was before. Hello, Winter, thank you for the raid. We are currently explaining how to get better in Overwatch. And we are basically at the knowledge, execution, and repeat step. We are doing a recap in a few seconds. Shoutouts and everything are currently disabled, because this will go to YouTube, basically. So don't bother. But thank you very much for your raid, Mr. Winter. It's very much appreciated, but I don't want to make a too big of a break right now from the explanation. So in deck, enjoy the show. I will recap what you have talked about shortly, and also remember this will go to YouTube, so you can just rewatch the entire thing there if the topic is interesting for you. So back to the repeat. And so that was the third step, is actually repeat. Get finer definitions, get better understanding, get better at the topic you want to define. Now, with these things being said, there are some can I clear the entire thing? I can clear the entire thing. There are some things that can make or break your success as well. And this is firstly, define the topics as atomic, as small as possible. Really very, very fine topics. So, for example, first to start with, the idea, kinda, my position is suicidal, right? Okay, let's go back. Very first fight. Maybe can go back like this. A little further. Right, here, first fight. So maybe you are this diva, and you are going here, and as this diva you decide, well, you're in the center of the map, your positioning is poorly. Like you are this diva, you watch this game, you get this knowledge of, yeah, well, I need better positioning, right? But you cannot formulate an actionable plan or training on, well, positioning is bad. You first need understanding what's good positioning, then you watch maybe a guide about diva positioning, or you just figure something yourself. Maybe you think, okay, maybe I should not fly away from my healers. You can think, maybe I should fly into positions that enemies can not attack so well, so maybe up here. Or you can say you need to fly into cover, so like you fly into here, for example. Like, all would be possible theories. Again, it doesn't matter which one you define. But now, so this was your first knowledge increase, then you define your training plan. Like, training plan is you kind of go to a corner and wait for your heals, and then you go in the line of sight to your healers, or you define, okay, you go with your go main, and then first you scout, and you only use boosters when you actually see an isolated target, like there, and then you fly to here. Maybe just formulate a training plan like this, then you go and train, then you come back, and this definition should really be as precise as possible. Like, it's not like general better positioning, but it's really get as fine as you can. Like, if you stand somewhere, stand close to cover. If you see enemies, see the least amount of enemies that you need to pressure, because you can shoot only at one target. So even if you're a tank, you don't need to bait more shots than you actually have to. Except if you're, of course, shielding for a teammate or something. But that you can define in your training. Like, be very as atomic as possible. You can say, okay, I need to train to use my boosters at maximum length. So, is this far enough or not? Like, to use entire booster length would be one atomic training. Or catch all anti-nades with your defense matrix. Like, not catch random abilities, but catch anti-nades. And then next topic is catch E-throws from Soldier. Next topic is catch 5 strikes from Reinhardt. Every single one can be trained individually. Like, if you have a game against Anna, Reinhardt, Soldier, you focus only one at first. You catch only the anti-nades in one game. Like, this is your entire training. Catch only the anti-nades. And then if you have gotten better, you can make it bigger. If you have problems with positioning, you can start with, okay, define a line from your team, like from your red team. Your front line is now here. Load Blaster X, or maybe Doomfist, or somewhere in between. So you can define this is your front line. I can also draw it. So this is your front line, and you define it, just stay behind your front line. One single topic. It's not like time with your tanks or have smart movement or whatever. It's just stay behind the furthest front teammate. Define it as atomic as possible. So it's the further down you get. If you want to improve your aim, well, it's like, let's go to Firehawk. Okay. Yeah. So it's Firehawk. How can Firehawk improve his aim? Well, he can focus on smooth tracking on the tracer. He can focus on predicting flight patterns. So you saw the Doomfist jumping in. Here, you see a Doomfist jump. You see his pattern, like, prediction was not good enough. He can train on those. He can train crosshair placement, like have a crosshair at the enemy's head before you even aim at something. He can work on strafing less erratic to improve his aim. Like, these are all aiming related topics, but he should pick one of these topics and focus as train only as small pieces as possible at once. And then, of course, after doing this for some time, like you do this for half a year, imagine training every single atomic topic. Like, the list of atomic topics gets really, really, really long. But at some point, you will actually see patterns. And that's a magical point, because then you can consolidate everything together. Like first you will see, okay, on this map, this point I need to stand here. On this point I need to stand here. Then at this point I need to go to this high ground. At this point I can go onto this high ground. Like first you see every single thing as something individual. But later if you play it more often, train more often, you will actually see, yeah, well, just go into high ground, find any random piece of edge and just look at one single enemy. Like this is a definition that kind of always applies, and you kind of just consolidate knowledge about all points on this entire map into just one simple sentence. And the more you play, the more you watch reviews, the more you train, especially the watch reviewing really generates these patterns, and humans are really great at seeing patterns. And this pattern is what makes your game later easy. And this is this consolidation part. Like, first you might think, oh, I need to see when exactly when D.Va uses booster, or when Orisa goes in, or when is actually the team fight starting. And later it's just, yeah, when my tank goes in, basically. So it's as first you kind of make it atomic and divide it into individual topics, but later you consolidate it into one big piece, basically. Consolidation part. And the other thing is that you also, the question is, how long did you train? I said before, you kind of, I tend to train for 2 weeks, but the reality is you kind of want to overtrain every single topic. You want to train so long that it becomes second nature. Like, imagine a pro gamer coming home drunk at 3 a.m. Like, no, Super, the pro Reinhardt player comes back, or, you know, Craigie comes back and starts Overwatch and plays Sojourn. They would still physically not be able to do this. Like, Super, doesn't matter how smashed he is, he would not be able to go here and try to snipe the Doomfist at this distance. Because he has never played that way. Like, he would play his default, and his default is just correct, basically. It's not like he thinks about, oh, I need to go to the cover, and then go get close, and then shoot the Doomfist from close cover. He doesn't think that. He thinks nothing. He's drunk, right? I don't know if he drinks. Don't take this. Don't drink and play. Drinking is bad for you. But you know, just imagine, or you're just ultra tired. You've worked 36 hours on something. You know, you come back and play Overwatch. Like, they do not think about these things. Why? Because they have trained them so often that they do not even have the idea of position this poorly, right? They would need to actually take extra effort to fly into such a bad position, basically. And this is what you also should do. You should try to work on your crosser placement for so long that if you come home and you look at here, your crosser would never be so low. Why? Because you never trained being so low. You trained having the crosser at head level so often that you cannot put it lower unless you actually focus on it. So if you autopilot, you do the things correct. And this is how long you actually want to train a single topic. And even though you don't reach the highest level while autopiloting, you improve your autopilot. And that's really your goal. Your goal is not to be able to execute something perfectly while you think about it. Your goal is to not be absolute trash at something while you autopilot. Like, if you don't think about positioning, you still want to be kinda behind your tank and behind some sort of cover. You don't want to think about these topics all the time. You want to free up the brain space. Right? You want to train these things for so long until you actually... And so you repeat this. Knowledge, implement, repeat, cycle. You repeat the cycle over and over and over and over again until it becomes second nature. And then you actually play this game, you think about nothing, and you have good crosser placement, you have good ability usage, you have good cover usage, you have good positioning, without thinking anything. Your brain dead. Like if they measure your brain waves, it's a flat line. Bzzzt, you know? Nothing. You're dead. You're a zombie. Good job. Now they can eat your brain and you still perform the same while playing at Grandmaster level. And that's really your goal. Being at Grandmaster level while being brain dead. Why? Because now you have the ability to actually think now, hey, this Sojourn has a railgun, maybe I play this angle instead. Because now you have the brain capacity. Like, if you work on your positioning, you need to think about, I need to go behind this lantern post, and then you see it, and then you look at the enemies. Like, this takes so much effort that you have no time to see the Sojourn having charge looking at you. Oh, this is actually me, by the way. Look at this handsome Sojourn. Ha, that's me. Bzzz. Look how tryhard I look. It isn't... Sorry. She has opened her wrong eye. Like, wouldn't you expect that she aims along this gun? It's just both eyes closed. Yeah, this is very fitting to my gameplay. Just both eyes closed, that's how I aim. I just close both eyes and just shoot forward. That's how I always aim. That's how I always do it. So, I'm a pro, trust me. Insane. Yeah, so, because basically you have trained so long that it becomes second nature, the game becomes actually boring because you have nothing to think about. And then you have the brain capacity to actually do stuff and outplay the enemy because then you have time to think about it. And that's basically the last step, grind the patterns. So this knowledge, execute, repeat is grinding really, and reviewing the stuff over and over is grinding your patterns. As we said before, your brain will just see patterns and all this ult tracking. Like, when I play this game, I actually know roughly who will ult when without looking or thinking about it. And why? Because I have roughly a pattern in my brain, when will people ult. Not only that, I also have a brain, how does Zarya look like before she ults? Why? Because most Zaryas have her ult bind to Q, so they never strafe left and ult. Because it's the same finger, basically. They strafe right or walk forward to graph, they never strafe left. Because it's the same finger. Some Zaryas have bounded to different keys, and then they get never catch this ult from them. Why? Because I don't train that. I've trained so much against Zaryas that I just unconsciously see Zaryas strafing left, so I know they do not ult. But if they actually do it, then then I die. Because I've not trained it, and I need to retrain my patterns. That's how it goes. So, yeah. So to recap everything what we have just said, we just write randomly. Do we? Yeah, we just write randomly on the screen. Let's take a little bit bigger pen. So first was knowledge. Knowledge. So create what you want to change. Think about it. So either from guides or from bot reviews or from coaches or from Reddit. And remember, it can be wrong knowledge. Even if you train wrong knowledge, you're still training and you're still improving. And after training the wrong knowledge, you try it, you apply it, and you see it was wrong, but you still have trained something and you can apply the trained skills onto a different strategy and tactic. Second step was execute. Execute. So again, get a clear image in your brain how it should look like. Watch how a good player does it. Watch how Craigie uses his E ability. Watch how ML7 uses his sleep dart. Watch how Winter aims. Then you will just see how the good players actually implementing your skills. And just have if you close your eyes, you should have a mental image how it should look like. Like imagine how should cross placement look like for a random player at this map at this specific point in time. Have a clear image. Define how it should look like. Define how you train it. Really say out loud, I want to go to this position, see where my tank is, go behind my tank, find my cover, and then aim at the enemy's head. And then repeat this step you have defined. So, vision and vision, define training, define training, play to train. Play to train. And as I always said, train in ranked. You need to train in ranked to get better at ranked. And then the third step, we had the repeat. And the third step was repeat. Because basically your knowledge increased, your execution got better, and now you look at the finer details. You analyze how far have you come, what do you need to adapt, how do you get better at this. Okay. So, do we have any questions so far about this topic? This is the next question from my side. Oh, look at all this text in my face. So, I give you a few seconds to think about this topic. If you find anything else that you want to ask. But I will not wait for too long. I also guess there will be not too much. Oh, I need too much questions. I need to get back into my Okay. No further questions. Awesome. Then thank you very much for watching. This is where we end. If you have further questions, write it down into the comments. I have trouble fitting my mask again. Like this because it's mirrored. Or ask me live on stream. I'm streaming on Twitch, so feel free to join. And thank you very much for watching.